The human body is one of the most complex and intricate designs known to man. In Hebrew thought, it's an expression of divine reality and is a key to divine knowledge. As it says in Job 19:26, "From my flesh I will perceive Elohim." Before his expulsion from Gan Eden, Adam's body shone like the sun and was capable of living forever. But many things changed after the fall. Now the human body requires the constant evacuation of food that cannot be absorbed. Without this ability, a person cannot exist. But this situation, like death itself, is the result of sin, and as a consequence, it is a process that man should acknowledge as a temporal survival mechanism set in place until the world to come. Join me as we look at the subject of bodily waste. When neshamot, that is souls, are brought down into the world and into a body, they enter a finite environment, a place where physical matter needs to be sustained and nurtured to allow the soul to function effectively within it. A major aspect of the soul's ability to function in the world is dependent on the body being sustained by food. The human body can go without water for 3 days and without food for 40 days before it begins to deteriorate. Ultimately, a human body in its natural state requires food. We have been created to eat food to not only sustain us or keep us alive, but to obtain valuable energy. But the Torah teaches us that man does not live on bread alone, but rather man lives on the word of the mouth of Elohim, according to Deuteronomy 8:3. In the Torah, the word bread refers to food in general, not just bread. What this verse is teaching us is that the bread we eat is invested with a divine life force, and moreover, that it is important for us to know that this life force is coming directly from the Creator and the Sustainer of all life. If we eat our food with this realization in mind, we can extract the divine life force or the divine spark that is the inner essence of all food. As a result, the level of nutrition, both physical as well as spiritual, that we gain from the food will be much greater than if we eat it without this realization in mind. Be that as it may, man's corruption has also corrupted the earth, which produces food. So, as a consequence, the food that the land yields carries a deficiency. This deficiency has resulted in food no longer carrying the ability to be fully absorbed into the body. As such, a portion of food now has to be expelled from the body and go back to the earth as waste. For example, the manna that fell daily from the heavens, first introduced in Exodus 16:15, was noteworthy as being the food of angels, as it says in Psalm 78:25, "Human beings ate the bread of angels. He sent them all the food they could eat." Thus, it was a food that, according to rabbinic writings, fully absorbed itself into the human body. This meant that the children of Israel did not have to 1. Acquire food, and 2. See to the requirement of expelling solid waste from the body. Of course, this diet caused wilderness living to be somewhat more bearable, but from the time Israel entered the Promised Land till today, the discharging of excess waste from the consumption of food has been man's lot to this day. Man was intended to live in Gan Eden and eat of its produce and absorb its physical and spiritual energy to the fullest. Yet Hashem foreknew that sin would creep into man's existence and thus created in him the ability to dispense waste. Such is the miraculous nature of this ability that the nation of Israel concocted a blessing after a bodily evacuation. The blessing is called Asher Yetzer, which means "who has formed mankind," an expression that appears in the blessing itself. In English it reads, "Blessed are you, Adonai, our Elohim, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill, creating the body's many pathways and openings. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them were to be wrongly opened or closed, it would be impossible to endure and to stand before you. Blessed are you, O Adonai, who heals all flesh and works wondrously. Amen." The Talmudic rabbis offer considerable advice on toilet hygiene and the preservation of health during bodily evacuation. There is also a malevolent spirit that lurks in toilets called a shade shel beit ha-kisei, which means the demon of the outhouse or a privy demon. This demon spreads plagues throughout mankind. Talmud Tractate Shabbat 67a also offers a prayer of additional protection that says, "On the head of a lion and on the nose of a lioness we found the demon named Bar Shirika Panda. With a bed of leeks I felled him, and with the jaw of a donkey I struck him." Psalm 29:91 and 121 also repel these entities if read aloud with the correct intention. Proper care of eliminating bodily waste is a Torah obligation related to guarding and taking care of the body. So next time you go to the bathroom, remember a day is coming when this activity will come to an end.